such great footage already.
We had some good. Yeah.
This is the story of our lives.
Let's start again.
We can't.
Kerr's taking up a lot of space with his
I
legs
have big
spread out.
balls.
like when cars take up 2 parking spots and they only need
And
one.
Kevin's got the new Bacardi that's been finished in
a cast.
no, not. Wow.
No.
A rye cast.
I was trying to teach Jennifer how to unjersey her words today.
Okay,
How do you say the item that you put like dirt in to push to another area and dump it out?
A wheelbarrow?
Yeah.
A wheelbarrow.
No, wheelbarrow.
Real
Barrel.
barrow.
Jessica said me.
You know, I told her today we're in the car and I go, what is it? She
Thank
goes,
you, Jessica.
She goes,
You're welcome.
She goes, a wheelbarrow. I go, okay. I said, what's that center of the bone where the red blood cells are made? She goes, bone marrow. I go, it's not bone marrow.
Well, I don't know. Growing up, that's what we called it. Every place has their own way of saying shit. Okay.
I like to say shit the way it's spelled.
Whatever.
I'm kind of crazy like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can't be as fancy as you guys. Whatever. That's how I grew up.
You fancy W pronouncing motherfuckers.
Sorry that's how my whole family, my dad says things that even I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But that's just the way.
Well, he's an old man.
Okay.
That makes sense. Okay.
Question 2. What is the movie that propelled Sean Penn's career playing a stoner in a high school?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I was gonna say it, but anyway.
Jess, what is it?
Yes. Fast Time at Ridgemont High.
What? Wait,
what?
Wait, what? What's
no, I'm not saying it again. Fuck you.
No.
Fuck you.
No, man.
Absolutely not happening.
What's the name of the movie?
That whatever.
I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not.
I mispronounce it every single time.
Because
every single time.
I'm not doing it.
She always says Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No, I said Ridgemont.
No, you said Ridgeman.
No, I said Ridgemont. It did. No. I did say that.
Okay.
See, this is why we cannot fucking have conversations because you guys pick the weirdest shit to aggravate us with. I don't understand it.
But then I said when you're trying to pick, when you're typing a letter and you're picking the different styles of letters, what's that called? And she said font. I go, it's not a fount. It's Ridgemont, not Ridgemont High. Yeah. So yes.
This was in the car going to and from my dad's house. God. Joe's in the back just laughing.
He is. He's dying.
He's
laughing.
really not any better with words.
No. But yes, it was her. She goes, we got to get one of these, Joe. We got to get a wheelbarrow. And Joe and I were like, it's a wheelbarrow. We're like, it's a wheelbarrow. No, it's a wheelbarrow.
Well,
I'm like, you don't
Jen,
have
you're not
bone
alone.
marrow.
There's other people who say that too.
I know.
All right, like my dad doesn't say a roof. He says a woof. Like the way he says it is like weird. And he doesn't say it like a roof on your house.
Does he say
it's like a woof?
A rough?
Oh, someone says a rough.
That's okay. That's not correct, though.
I'm just saying some people say
it's
roof,
but that's
rough.
okay. Yeah, okay. Okay.
In our area, the Pennsylvania Dutch always say...
I say roof, yeah.
Yeah, Pennsylvania Dutch always say like roof.
Yeah, that's what my dad says.
We had roots with the farmer's market, ROOTS. He called it roots.
Oh,
you just got done making a statement that you like things to be pronounced the way it's spelled.
I think my family
I didn't say that. I said the Pennsylvania Dutch say
I don't give a shit about Pennsylvania Dutch.
They say it wrong.
You're criticizing me and Jen.
My family says like instead of root cellar, like rut cellar.
Yep, root cellar, root cellar.
Oh, that's all right then, as long as other people are saying it. But me and Jen say everything fucked up.
You know what?
Everyone else is correct.
The problem is that is it's really tough when you get into a root to get out of it.
Yeah. So I looked it up. It's a Bacardi bought Angels.
Oh, we're back to the Bacardi.
Angels Envy.
Angels Envy. I've heard of that.
You know
so in case anybody, because we didn't record it, I am drinking the Bacardi 8-year.
Okay, good.
Finished in a cask.
I like that. That looks nice.
Don't you feel like a lot of New Jersey people also like almost have made up words and we know the meanings to them?
Oh yeah, but that's like that everywhere.
Yeah, that's like that.
Harry's
so I
sister
feel
says things I have no clue what she's saying.
Oh no, horrible.
Because it's all Pennsylvania Dutch.
Out in the lights. I'm like, what? Got to go out in the lights. Out in the lights.
What does that mean?
Turn it off. Out in it.
Oh.
Out the lights.
Oh.
Out in it. OUTEN.
So it's like
out in
strike that, reverse it, and you'll have it.
Well, it's like when Jeff Foxworthy had the whole, the whole thing, the stand up that he used to do.
Oh, with the meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like everybody has like
Yoke too.
So certain like sayings or words, and then people look at you like, what is happening?
I lived in Pittsburgh for 5 years, and the butchering of the English language, it's downtown, Haas. We're gonna get some eggs in that, you know. I'm gonna red up the house.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means at all.
I'm gonna straighten
get
up.
the house ready. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna straighten like not a full clean. Just get just do a quick clean or get it straightened up. I'm gonna red up the house.
I feel like after a while, like that's how I felt like when I lived in North Carolina, like in the mountains. Like I would like the first year I lived there, I felt like I was in a foreign country because I was like, like when people talk to me, because I was like, I have no idea what they're saying. And then after a while, you kind of can decipher. And then if you don't really understand what they're saying, you can kind of get the general gist. So you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. But yeah, the first year I lived there, I was like, I feel like they're speaking a whole foreign language. I have no clue what they're saying.
Down here that they freaking use that are kind of funny, but back in my hometown, Lebanon, they always end the sentence with once.
What?
They always they end sentences with once. And my brother-in-law still does. Be like, hey, let me see that once. Hey, come over here once.
Okay.
Hey, we're gonna go over here once.
Why?
And then if you're really, really, really Pennsylvania Dutchy in our area, anything that has it's once is onced, ST, you're nutsed, STS. So it's like, come on, let me see that onced. And
drives me nuts.
It's crazy. It's funny.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So like Crayolas, like most people I know that I went to school with call them crowns, which I know pisses a lot of people off because it's not a crown you wear on your head. It's coloring thing. They call them crowns instead of Crayolas.
Crayons?
Yeah, they call them crowns. Like they don't say crayons, they say crowns, like a crown on your head.
Well, that's
like a lot of people I went to school with said that. I used to think that's so odd, like because it's not a crown on your head, it's a crayon.
What? Okay, well, your dresser.
But that's what I'm saying, because now you hear me saying it, and that's what it sounds like. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying what you're saying.
Crayons, but that's what they say.
It sounds like crown, and I can't change the fact that it sounds that way. And I say,
what do you put your clothing in your dresser?
A drawer.
A drawer.
Yeah. Well, the guy Chris that we met down at when we were at the Rocky Patel.
Yeah.
Big guy with bald head. He's from Jersey. They call him draws.
Draws.
Yeah.
My mom calls it that too.
Yeah.
Look at the draws. I'm like, what the fuck
Dresser
are you talking
draws.
about? Yep, draws.
Yeah. But it's weird because I hear it differently when I say stuff, and then people are like, what did you just say? Like,
there's a few things you say differently.
Yeah,
but,
and I can't help it. It's not that I'm trying to say it wrong. No, it just doesn't come out the way.
Kindergarten is always a cute one.
Kindergarten. I know. I've heard that before. I've heard you say that before.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. Whatever. Kindergarten. There. Kindergarten.
Yeah. We got to do our intro.
So, all right.
We got to do it. We're live from Richmond High.
Yeah. I'm Broadleaf Bully Kevin.
I'm Broadleaf Bully Jess.
I'm Broadleaf Bully Kerr.
I'm Broadleaf Bully Jen.
And we are
the
Broadleaf Bullies.
We talk. You listen. We're the Broadleaf Bullies. And here's your hosts, Kev, Kerr, Jessie, and Jen.
Sorry about that.
Kerr, what are you smoking tonight?
Oh God, that was actually not smoke that was, but I'm smoking the Shahan 35.
Oh, you know what I'm smoking?
What's that?
The Silent Green number 1.
Ooh.
I found one. I thought I smoked them all, and I found one in my humidor today.
And I am smoking the Joya de Nicaragua Antonio the Gordo. God, I hate Gordos. God, every time I smoke,
of course, he picked the biggest.
Every time I pick a giant cigar, it's just I remember. Oh, this is why I hate smoking these. Except Paladin de Saka because it's a square. It's more of a box press.
So why did you pick it?
It's my last one,
Okay.
you know, and I'm like, and then the same thing as I always am like, oh, that's probably good. And then I smoke it. And I'm like, oh, this is why I hate
certain cigars
Gordos.
like that. Even if I like it, I'll give it away to somebody who I know enjoys them, because what's the point of
keeping it?
Because you're a hoarder.
Not allowing anybody else to smoke it.
Kevin's a hoarder.
That's the why you don't give it away. You know?
Oh my gosh.
So
whatever. So we just watched across the street from us, there's like that little half circle, and one of the houses lost like a good chunk of their house. It's like exposed. And so they're living in a pop-up camper out on the side of their house because they're not allowed back in their house because the county said it's unsafe. And it looks like the weather's about to change and we might get some rain. It's been kind of drizzling in certain areas. So they're waiting to get their stuff kind of tarped and all stuff. So the other neighbor who lost his fence all day brought in friends. They're trying to board up what they can and then tarp. And then all of a sudden the roofing company came and from his insurance company to tarp the house.
So he pissed away his whole day.
Watching them was so painful. There was like 6 guys, and it was like watching them try to do this because it's a massive amount of damage.
Three Mexicans covered the whole roof in 18 minutes, and these 5 white guys spent half a day. And
the same guys getting gas, was it?
No.
What?
Siphoning the gas.
Our other neighbors
of all the guys
shirtless,
trying to figure out how to get gas out of a boat.
But I felt so bad because, like, the one neighbor, his wife, her name is Jessica, and she's from New York. She goes, I was not made for this life. I'm a real princess, and I'm making my dad come all the way from Georgia to pick me up. I have to have electricity and power, and they have a 4-year-old daughter. So she was like, not being like, you know, like a shitty person. She was just like, I can't do this. Like, she couldn't handle the devastation and the fact that there was no power and no water. So she made the family come and get her, and he owns a window company with his dad. So he was cleaning up stuff, but he's been helping. Like, he's been trying to help this neighbor, and they were out there all day trying to do this, and it took them like seconds to cover everything. I mean, they covered the whole house.
It's amazing when you have people that are experienced, know what the fuck they're doing, and all the proper equipment and everything, and just
you also have too many chiefs.
Stupid.
But you also had probably too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and everyone had like, I can do this.
Everybody's got the best way to do it.
And when they're
in the kitchen,
and when they're of South American descent. Well, North American, south of us descent. If I say Mexican, my people.
But you already said it, which I found rude.
Kind of wonder where you're going there.
Yeah, when they're Mexican, they get shit done. You know, so
okay, that's like the 3rd time you have said it. You're just like, they're people who are roofers aren't all Mexican, Kevin. It's like the
ones that are up top are
weird thing to say.
The guy sitting out in the truck and the air conditioning sometimes isn't.
Wow, Kevin, you keep talking, and you are.
I worked construction for a long time.
You don't get to backtrack on this.
So
period. Just end it. Stop speaking now. Like, foot in mouth. Stop. Warning.
They're good people. I'm not saying anything bad.
Good.
To even say that makes it even worse. What is wrong with you?
They're hardworking people.
People in general, human beings.
They are hardworking human beings, and I will take 3 of them over 12 white guys.
What do you mean, them?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah.
Kevin and I have had lots and lots of, like, not arguments, but we definitely sit on different sides of fucking views of things.
I would never guess that.
Insert foot and mouth, please.
Well,
Kevin is the whitest person you will ever meet on the planet. His 23andMe DNA even says he is the whitest person
I'm kind of curious to get
on
done.
The planet.
See
he has
what my
nothing
whiteness
in him
is.
but whiteness.
But, you know, I also think that we've shifted so far to the extreme where you had fucking dopey people that would freaking make this delineation, which was not freaking fair and had tinges of racism. And And
there's racism everywhere. It's all
no,
people
I
are
know. Well,
racist towards each other.
I'm saying that, but I'm saying it's gotten to the point where you can't even say, you know what? I worked with a lot of Mexicans, and they're freaking hardworking, great people. They do a lot of roofing.
You can say Hispanic, Latinos, like you don't have to say Mexican because they might not be Mexican. You're generalizing Hispanic culture as one race.
If you're saying I worked with Mexicans, is what I'm saying.
But he didn't say that. He just assumed that's who's working on the roof.
I did.
He's assuming.
So, but if Kerr works with them and knows them, he's allowed to say that.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying it just gets too extreme.
Anymore.
It's like, well, what do you mean?
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying we shouldn't go around. That's like somebody just constantly going, well, they're white, so they must be German. Like, oh, they have blue eyes and blonde hair, so they must be German. Well, I don't know. I've never had somebody.
Why not? People say
that.
People say you're white. Just because you're white, you're entitled. That's not always fair. That's not always true.
Well, I mean, that's not something I've heard on a show like we're doing. Like I'm not watching a cigar show and someone say, "Oh, those white people, they're entitled." Like Kevin's calling
I just
on a roof Mexican. Don't make no sense. But I'm just saying, like,
I know. I'm just.
It's a different where it's a different platform. And you're making a generalization, and it bothers. That's what bothers me. It's not so much what you say; it's the generalization that you assume.
Assuming that the people doing the roofing are Mexican when they can be of any type of descent.
Yes,
and that bothers me. That's what bothers me.
Okay,
but yeah, you're right. There are a lot more, other brown people that are doing roofs too, and they probably don't want to be associated with Mexicans.
Oh Jesus, here we go.
But
I can't. Yeah. Moving on. We're never going to agree.
Kevin, she kind of pulled you out of that ditch. And you said, "No, I really liked it down there."
He will keep.
I really like that hole.
He'll live there. That's the hill he'll die on.
Well, no, I mean, listen, I did a lot of landscaping.
Yeah. My dad used to hire a lot of people from different countries, and he also helped them get their green cards. And some of them went to college. Some of them opened up their own business. Right. My dad hired.
I didn't work with any foreigners when I did landscaping. I just said I did landscaping. You're the one who you're the one who just assumed.
Because we were on the same subject about people of brown skin.
I worked with 3 white guys.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad.
Slowest crew ever.
You must have lived in the whitest neighborhood ever.
Slowest crew ever. Yeah.
No, I lived in a very diverse atmosphere where I grew up.
Believe it or not, the guy I worked for had a little bit of a drug problem. Mm-hmm. And he would disappear in the middle of the day and he would come back and it would be like full steam ahead. And we would be freaking trimming trees and cutting lawns like with flashlights. That's it. We would put in that type of a day. Yeah, it was bad. Got a lot of work done.
Yeah, I will say most of the people my grandpa and my dad hired that were white guys were drug addicts.
Yeah.
They all had drinking problems or something. Yeah. A lot of them. I remember one guy's name was Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne was always got into accidents in the dump trucks.
Probably got fired from being a painter. I don't know the painter that's not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about painting. Boy, they like their booze.
As long as you don't say that they're Mexican alcoholics, Kevin, you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jess. God. I'm just giving you a hard time.
It's fine.
How's the recovery? How is the overall recovery from the storm? And I got to tell you, first of all, I following the, you're talking to you guys, and I know you guys really kind of went, you went silent for a while because you didn't, you're conserving energy and shit. I mean, electricity. You guys really handled it well. I know that there were some tough times, but really, you guys been through a lot and handled it well. I mean, how you guys doing now?
I think Kevin handled it way better than I did on some levels because he was like going out and getting stuff, and I didn't want to deal with people because I already was like overwhelmed with. We weren't even supposed to be here. We were supposed to be in Kentucky for the barn smoker. So we weren't prepared, and not because we were negligent on being prepared. It was literally, the storm has completely shifted, and Walmart and every food store closed in preparation days before. It wasn't like the day before. It was literally 2 or 3 days. how can we get provisions? How could we have stocked up properly?
Now we were a little negligent, only because at the beginning of hurricane season,
you should be better prepared.
You should be stocking up on all, so we didn't have that, but at least I knew enough to, the day of, fill the bathtub up with water, get it as far as you can go, so you can scoop it into the toilet because at least the plumbing will still work.
But, and nobody
cigars.
saw. Yeah, but nobody.
But I didn't smoke very much for the first few, like one a day. You're so busy, just trying to survive.
Nobody anticipated this level.
No.
They absolutely didn't. It was like it was an underestimation on the majority of the people that stayed. Like even if we left, if we left, we would have probably been worse because our house would have been worse because we at least then was able to like board the window for the lounge, the back of the slider and stuff. If we weren't here and we didn't do any of that, there would have been other issues. And then the flooding, we at least had all the blankets and towels to help, that came in, because the house, it would have just sat.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
no, you're right. I mean, there are benefits to staying, especially when you're kind of faced with that. It's not like you have a home that you could just be like, okay, press the button, everything's sealed up. Let's get the fuck out of here. We'll come back in a couple of days. Everything will be okay.
Right. And if I didn't like move all the patio stuff and like condense it and bring all the plants in and all that stuff, that would have been.
And that was one of the biggest issues. Like I said, just people, even knowing it was going to hit us, nobody putting their shit away.
None of our
patio
neighbors put
chairs,
their shit away.
Trash cans, everything's still out in the open.
Our fence.
I'm sure if they didn't come projectiles, it could damage you and your house.
If we didn't have a chain link fence, we'd have had a lot of damage.
Right. And if our neighbor didn't have that crazy bamboo growing, because that bamboo was like a catcher's mitt. It like swayed and like caught shit. It's like,
and our fence was packed solid.
Oh yeah,
with other people's
chairs,
stuff. It was
siding.
It was a colander that just caught.
It was
everything
crazy.
And that proves that no matter how prepared you are, you can still get fucked up by other people not being prepared.
And here's the other thing: I like how like some people in my Facebook comments wanted to give me advice on what I should have done. Yeah. Not everyone can afford a generator, so like that's a nice thing to say is people should have a generator, but that shit's expensive and I don't give a crap. I would never tell someone you should have paid for a generator. That is expensive and that's not being negligent. That doesn't mean you have to go out and buy one because you live in Florida. If you live up north, do all of them have generators when the snow power like makes the power go out and they have like snowstorms? No. I'm just saying, it's like, oh, you should have had a snowmobile. You should have had better shovels. You should have had a big bag of salt. It's like rude to tell people that.
Because it's always the Monday morning quarterbacks that always have the fucking answers. And it's like, yeah, what you should have done? I don't know.
Yeah. So my uncle.
Where were you 3 days prior? Would have been great for this advice.
So my uncle, mind you, gas was non-existent for at least 3 days. Like 3 solid days, nobody could get gas. And then you couldn't drive to go get gas because you didn't know if you were going to be able to get gas.
Right.
Then when we sat twice for 4 or 5 hours and then still couldn't get gas, fuck that. But my uncle loaned us his generator and he actually filled it for us. Right. So we were able to run the dehumidifier and get try to dry the house out, which is what I think saved us a little bit was that we were able to run. So yeah, people are like, oh, your food and all stuff. Well, yeah, our fridge, we didn't have a working fridge for 3 days. Everything had to be thrown away. By the time we could get ice, like proper ice,
you're fucked.
You're fucked. So we didn't run our refrigerator. We had one thing of gas. 5 gallons of gas?
Yeah, I think 6 gallons.
Yeah, 6 gallons. That's it. And then Kevin finally went and bought a generator and hunted. He hunted for propane and gas. And then we started trading. Luckily, we had a friend, my good friend Shani, her husband works at the airport, and he was able to get us 2 cans of gas. And then my sister-in-law gave us a propane tank and we gave her some gas. So we were able to kind of share. But I don't think people realize, oh, you could have done this. Well, no, you couldn't. There was no resources. And
like I said, in hindsight's always 2020. And like I said, I started my book. So I'm writing a book. I survived Hurricane Ian of 2022. Here's 50 things I learned so you don't have to, so I'm gonna do like a little self.
And Kevin's right. Kevin even said, he goes, we're all gonna forget how bad this really was. Like, we'll know it was bad, but we won't really remember. Just like Charlie, when we were here for Charlie too, and I was at my parents and everything got destroyed, but on a smaller scale than this. This is massive.
That was 18 years ago. So you guys have lived through snowstorms. You probably grew up. You had that one 15 years ago that was really bad, and then you're never prepared after that. You're like, because it never hits. It never hits.
The one thing I did have stocked up, which I thought was funny, was toilet paper. I was like, of course, we're probably going to run out of toilet paper. Never did. We still had like 8 rolls even after we could go to the store.
Well, you're not eating anything, so you're not shitting.
No, I listen, between the smell of like the gas, the generator, it's like, oh my God, the noise. I was ready to lose my shit.
But you got to figure, right?
So much
to be really prepared for something like this, right? And obviously they say you got to stock up, but maybe days prior with gasoline, but because it's not like you get like a big barrel of gasoline, just keep it in your garage.
Right.
It's just in case a hurricane comes,
Right.
But there, it's like, okay, well, fuck you. There are things you can get, but realistically, like you said, it's you get to that point where like, okay, fucking.
Right. Well, Kevin got really crafty too, because we were timing. We were like switching it from propane to gas, and we were like, all right, we got this much time on this amount and this, and like we were and then we would shut it off at night because there was no point in running it. We're all going to bed. And this way we were conserving what little bit of resources we could find. Because all we had bought was stuff we could put in the cooler and anything dry that we could eat. But we already had that. Like, we were eating peanut butter sandwiches the first like 3 days.
Well, it's not like you're a survivalist with a freaking bunker downstairs that is completely filled with shit in case things happen. I mean,
Kevin ate his Chef Boyardee and then those MREs and then was like, oh, my tummy. And I was like, yeah, watching you eat that made my stomach
You got toilet paper.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, with snowstorms like up north, I mean, I remember it was it's probably 14. It's probably like 12 years ago. I was still in Pittsburgh. We got hit with a foot snowstorm, and then 3 days later got hit with like another foot. And it was horrible. Like, I was lucky the apartment complex I was living in didn't lose electricity. But still, I mean, I'm like, you got to dig yourself out. You got to have the proper shovels, the proper, stuff. So my dad, when that happened, he bought, he actually has a generator because they have a problem with losing electricity, in their home on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And, where we live, we're not in an area where we get bad snowstorms. When hurricanes hit, like this hurricane, we were supposed to get high winds and rain, a lot of rain, and it veered just ever so slightly east.
Yeah.
And when it veered ever so slightly east, we got nothing.
Really? Interesting.
Nothing. A little bit of rain.
Yeah, I heard people in Canada could feel the wind.
It wasn't as bad as
I thought you guys said you lost power.
We did for like
I did. We did for like an hour and a half. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there was
Well, people in Pennsylvania said they were feeling like they were getting all the rain.
Yeah.
People in PA got a lot of rain.
Yeah, but I don't think we lost electricity because and we lost internet too. But sometimes like the day prior, it was actually windier here.
Yeah, I was watching
the day prior
trees in our woods.
And then the day it was supposed to hit with all the warnings, nothing. We lost electricity for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it came back on, and I was actually kind of surprised. I was surprised we lost it because we lost you guys.
That's because the dog, I think, ripped us out. The dog ripped us out.
Maybe. Hold on.
It's your camera. But the
can they still hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
They can still hear us.
The day prior, I was surprised. It was really windy. It was bad. And I was surprised we didn't lose electricity then.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's what I was wondering, like how crazy the wind. Oh my God, Kevin.
Some days we've had
that's blurry as shit.
Some of the hurricanes that have hit that come up our way, we've gotten some bad secondary storms. And then usually what
hail
happens
or-
is it was, I can't remember which one was George
I don't know the
that
name.
came up. We got so much rain. We lost bridges. We lost freaking roads. It flooded a lot of areas. The winds were bad. We get a lot of
Right, leave it right there. It's perfect.
we get a lot of secondary tornadoes.
That's what I hear a lot of people
We get
complain
a
about in
lot
that
of
area.
secondary tornadoes, and the wind gets bad, and that's really about it. I mean, we'll get some rain, but I think we were living in a place in Greenville, and we had that the plastic fence that's around our house, the old place. The one year the storm came up, I think it was George. It was blowing that bad. I thought it was gone.
Yeah. Everybody who has those fences here no longer have those fences.
Yeah.
Every single white fucking fence is everywhere.
We need stuff that air can flow through. That catches the air. And I was sitting out in the kitchen going, Dan, we're gonna lose our fucking fence, man.
There was only a few houses that I saw where there were missing panels, I'm like, guarantee that guy took down some panels.
Well, because
like you said, you need to have air.
You need to have airflow. Yeah.
But we opened our neighbor's front doors, and Kevin and I tied the fence. We tied it, and Kevin's like, "Man, I really wish we could open up." But once we saw one of the panels go, we thought, "Oh, okay, maybe the rest of the fence will stay." No, it was like boop, 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 picking it off
because
one by one.
It was flimsy. So Kerr, on most white fences, you still bury your 4x4 post in concrete, and then you put the cap on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
All these fences around here, they hammered in these steel rods, like rebar, into the ground, and they're 5 foot, and then you just slide you slide a 4x4 post over a piece of rebar.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And that's all it was.
And we watched them put that fence in 2 years ago, and Kevin goes, "One storm, it's going to take it out."
One storm.
And I remember him saying that because I originally wanted a privacy fence, and Kevin kept going, "No, if we're going to do a fence, let's just do chain link." And I was like, "But we won't have any privacy. Oh, we'll plant bushes or whatever." And I'm glad we had the chain link. Absolutely, hand down,
so
glad we had the chain link.
Yeah, I thought we were going to lose our fence that year. I've never seen a fence get just wave that bad and not break.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, man, that's in there pretty good. But I have every time there's a storm, I always get phone calls. "Hey man, are you okay for the storm?" I'm like, dude, I'm so far inland, unless it's freaking an asteroid hitting outside the ocean, we're safe from the water. Storm may come up and hit us, but that's about it.
I think it's just the amount of devastation that it did all throughout the areas it hit and kept going and still causing devastation in other areas. Even if it was minor, it was such a massive storm. And I just was not really mentally, I think, prepared for how much damage there really was by the storm, for how many people it affected.
Now, do you guys have a generator?
No.
That's my only thing, that I think everybody should know, especially after going through this and even going through previous storms.
But they're expensive, and even the cheaper ones. Why would you waste your money on one that's not going to even power the things that you would need?
If you're going to do it, you got to do it right. I know what you're saying.
Right, I got to do it right.
My dad gave me the same lecture, Kevin. I say lecture not in a negative way, but the same. When he fucking lost his power, he goes listen. Ever since then, I got a generator. Yes, it's a lot of money up front, but when we lost electricity, this thing powers up and it freaking it provides electricity.
Yeah, I mean,
but parts of the home that need it.
Also, were one just really quickly say, if you don't regularly run the generator, though, you're not doing the generator any service.
Yeah, but
it can't just sit there and wait until a storm comes.
Well, I mean,
you gotta,
like we're saying, it's like a snow blower. It's like a mower. Everybody puts them away for the season, and then everybody fights with them the next season because they didn't shut it down properly. And it's the same with any small, small engine.
We found out the generator was actually what we were doing. Plugging our stuff in was dangerous.
Well, but we got a really good generator, that could power the whole house. I mean, it was only $1,100, and that was with a 2-year extended warranty. you know, but to do it over again, I would have bought an inverter generator.
Yeah, because you were just telling me about when you plug stuff in.
Yeah, because a regular generator, you can't plug in like phones and TVs and stuff like that. You get voltage spikes, but you know, there are workarounds around it.
But we could have we didn't know.
Yeah.
We could have actually damaged and then really screwed ourselves.
Are those the generators, Kevin, that are tied into the panel?
You can tie any generator into a panel, like you know. So
my dad was going over that because my dad's an electrician. He was like, you know, you got to make sure you do it this way because if you don't do it this way, and he's like, and I'm like, Dad, honestly,
around here people rig it up and they create suicide cords. So a double-ended cord that goes in the generator, then your dryer outlet, so it powers the whole house, which can kill you and it's illegal.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, I'm gonna have a box, a knockout box put on mine, so I can plug the generator into the panel, and then you can randomly select what you want. Obviously, you turn off the big stuff like your AC, but yeah, I would have spent money and bought an inverter generator. It produces clean electricity, not dirty electricity like a regular generator produces.
Yeah, because we were getting these weird like spikes, like we could hear the generator like spiking, and we didn't realize like that's because we had our like Kevin found a way to plug his computer in like day 5. You know, he was like, eh. And so you could hear it going up and down, up and down.
Hold on for 1 second. You check go to the bottom there, and instead of exhaust, hit fan, and it'll blow the smoke back this way. So I have my fan exhaust on, and as I'm smoking, it's pulling the smoke across Jennifer. And I mean, it's a great way to exhaust, you know, to get the smoke out of here. It does a great job, but no,
it's going in her face. It's going in her face.
Cool. Yes, cool. Cool is fan. It's gonna fan you and cool you off.
Say that.
Sorry.
So yeah, I would have spent like the $2,500 and got the inverter generator that can run like 24 hours on 5 gallons of gas versus a regular generator that only runs 8 hours.
And his daughter, Amber and Bobby, they bought a house, and the lady was still renting the house from them and stayed there for the hurricane. So they were able to finally they're going to be able to get in this Saturday. But I went over to help her clean up a little bit, and she got power back and everything. They're buying a diesel generator.
Wow.
So she Amber's like, I will be the most prepared person going forward. But their house, nothing really happened except for a couple trees and some shingles are missing. But they didn't even they haven't even moved in yet. And they're homeowners, and they have issues with the roof. I know it's insane, but their area, same thing with Kevin's son, he had to be airboated out with his family because it was still underwater. Even like what now, like they're saying 20% over in that area is still like flooded. Wyatt's teacher has no home left at all, has none, gone.
20% flooded, and those areas are about like you said, 80 to 90% are being ransacked.
Oh yeah, they're being looted. It's crazy. Yeah,
we should just at that point. I mean, I don't know.
Because everyone here owns like kayaks and those little boats with the little trolley motors. I mean, they all have them because they're huge. Like they fish all the time. They have these. Like my brother even has. Yeah. One, you know, so it's easy pickings.
If I see you freaking looting water and food like that, that's different. I see you with a TV in your hand. You should just get
these
freaking
people. You should see the people with the scrap metal right now.
Yeah,
it's only 21 cents. Yeah. They're not even getting much for the scrap metal. I mean, it's still worth it for what they're stealing.
But you talk about looting, and you always wonder, like in some natural disasters, how people can resort to that. Going through this, and being in some of these lines, to get stuff, and you can, I mean, even myself, you just feel yourself starting, like it's boiling up inside you.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse, but now I can look on TV and I can see it during some of these disasters. Yeah, well, it's because I was out there all the time and you weren't. So I
like for food and water, you're talking about wanting to get your new freaking
no, for food and water, people breaking down a store window to get food for their family because
I'm saying I get that.
Go ahead, Kevin, being dramatic.
No, I'm just saying I understand you know, like how people can. I never understood before how civilized a civilized person can resort to that.
Because you've never been poor,
you know. But yes, and I've never been in a situation like that. Yeah, I've never been poor. I've never been in a situation like that. So yeah, you can't shame me for
I'm not shaming you
for not knowing.
But what I'm saying is, though, I have had nothing, and I have never taken something that doesn't belong to me, and I have been in shitty situations where I had to feed kids, and never once was I ever going to take that out on someone else, because that's being a better human than other people. I'm just saying, I don't understand why grown-ass men were taking guns in front of a whole fucking car full of families and holding it to them for gas.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. It blows my mind, and I will never understand it. As much as you can say you can kind of relate, I can't relate.
I'm saying I can kind of understand some of these situations where I don't, you know, I kind of know what they're going through, but especially in some of these houses, like I said, that they've lost everything, and you know, I don't know, it's got to be a horrible feeling, and then so
it does.
I understand how
that.
some of this stuff can happen in the blink of an eye. The town, I messaged John Callahan, you know, Heather's husband. He's a cop, and he stopped by one day, and I'm like, this town is almost at its breaking point. I mean, it's another couple days, and it's going to explode. I can see it. It's palpable out there. And luckily,
it's what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, Jess, because I've been there, you know, and I know Jed's been there where you're freaking struggling.
I pay with coins.
Well, what I'm saying is, it's funny, Kevin, what you're saying, because there is a difference when, and it's not justifying anything, right? Because you know, when it just acknowledging something doesn't mean that you're agreeing with it, or that you or it's justified,
I get that.
Right? Yeah. And I think when you have not a family that's struggling, like if we're struggling and we got to do what we got to do to make things meet, when you have a whole fucking town or groups of people or a crowd of people that are all experiencing the same thing all at once in a very and it takes one motherfucker to fucking snap. And then it freaking spreads like wildfire, and you can see how people will freaking do what they need to do to get water and food for their family. Right. And I've always said,
I agree with
in those situations, it's like, if it boiled down to it, you're damn Skippy. I'd break a freaking window and freaking go into a store and get water and food. My problem is when you see motherfuckers running out with a bunch of boxes of Nikes or freaking Vizios. At that point, they're like, you know that cops were shooting looters? Well, you know, they're taking, especially if they're taking from people's houses. I mean, in general.
Well, one of the things was
it's taking advantage of a situation.
Well, there was one thing too. It's like both of us didn't need to be out, because that was one of Kevin's biggest things. Why do they have to bring the whole family out? But also, they have no AC. They have small children. They're getting bit by bugs. They're tired. They're hot. Maybe going into a food store that had AC was a little bit of relief for the parents, because the kids don't comprehend what's really going on, right? Little kids, you know, like they were probably stressed on top of other stressors. So I mean, I get why people were out and about, but they were also then hindering some of the service men and women that were there to help, like by being out and on the roads, you know. So there was like so much bullshit going on. It was just too much chaos going haywire. And like, I don't disagree with you, Kevin. I can see it from your perspective. I guess I just sit there and think it had only been a day. It had only been a day, and people were already acting like they were ever going to have a fucking Pop-Tart again.
Well,
like,
that's because fucking when you live a little bit, I don't want to say entitled, but when you're kind of
entitled is correct.
when you're accustomed to a way, when that way has been negotiated severely, and you see no freaking relief in sight.
Yeah, some
people can go from 0 to fucking 60 like that. And
it's the desperation that's scary. Like,
I mean, if it can be one day in, I think, Kevin, I think you put the freaking thing on Facebook. You're like, those people say they can live in a freaking in a forest or whatever.
Yeah, for a month with no internet, you know.
Right. And it's like,
Kevin clearly
after a day, you know, people you're sitting there going, okay, I know what it's like. We know what it's like when you just lose electricity, and you're like, the fucking power company said that they don't know when they're going to get the power back on, and you start getting angry right away. Even the internet, for how freaking horrible it sounds, when the internet goes down and you're like, they're not going to get the internet fixed until fucking tonight or tomorrow.
People were driving from other counties going where people were saying, hey, there's free Wi-Fi here. Like literally they would drive like 20-30 minutes just so they could get Wi-Fi. And I was like, mine was spotty. I got fortunate. I actually had better service than a lot of people, surprisingly. I don't know why. Kevin had none. His just wouldn't work. But I wasn't going to drive 30 minutes so I could connect something. No. If it didn't, I remember trying to upload like a video and it took all day.
Yeah. What do you need? What's important on your phone? What would you, for 30 minutes? They're not 30 minutes like freaking Joe needs to get his work done. Like 30 minutes in the middle of a fucking natural disaster.
Yeah. I had no idea. Now Kevin hadn't put his business stuff on vacation mode. And that was his biggest thing.
That's what I had to scramble. I had to go. I had to drive 20 minutes to get Wi-Fi to get everything because I get dinged big time.
You didn't drive. You were looking for gas and you happened to notice you had Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and then I came back the next day.
Yeah,
and I luckily got on all my sites. I only had to refund 2 orders.
Thank you, Elon Musk.
Yeah, he brought in some Starlinks for us.
Yeah, but that's, you get double hit there with your business. You're not only going to get with the storm and what you're doing around the house.
And then your ratings and all kinds of stuff. And it was a nightmare. He was definitely, and I didn't blame him for that. He runs a business, so I get that.
Yeah, but I think that you have to do something like that when you're like, okay.
Right. But you don't need to go check your Facebook.
Yeah, well, I don't think the crowds of people are there. No. All freaking putting their business on.
They're not. Vacation, they are literally on Facebook.
In the face of having a horrible storm and the house being flooded and the money and the effort and everything else, now I'm going to be losing money and my rating's going to go down in my business if I don't do this. No, they want to go there and fucking take a picture and upload 5 pictures from their home and give an update on Facebook.
Right, and I could do that from where I was, which was home. I got lucky that it would eventually upload. Sometimes it would take a while. Sometimes it was instant. But, I know like a lot of my family up north was concerned about my parents because their place, even though they stayed with my brother during the storm, their place is, jacked up. They have to have it a lot repaired, but they're safe.
Does this further solidify, Kevin and Jen, that you guys will always go glamping and not?
Yeah, they'll never go camping.
You're damn right. You talk
5-star only hotels from now on.
You talk about Facebook, so there's going to be a chapter in the book and it's actually going to be a long about what to say to somebody in a natural disaster or going through them because there were so many people that were fairly local to us. Maybe an hour's drive.
Yeah.
That had plenty of stuff. And these are the people who's like, whatever you need, you got it, whatever you need. And then at the beginning, I'm like, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Then you start getting like desperate. There's no gas. There's no propane. And then like hey, is there anything you need? Yeah, we need gas and propane. And they're like, hey, if you just come up here, I said everything's open.
75.
So you want me to drive an hour? I said in the middle of a disaster area, when you've said, whatever you need, then the people in the other states, hey, whatever you need, we'll take care of you. No, stop saying that because you have no intention to, and that's the good thing to say. That's just what we're also. Whatever you need, I'll.
It just makes themselves feel better. That's
that's all it does.
But we genuinely had really amazing people who would have driven through the flood to get here. We didn't want that.
We didn't want to put them in that
because
situation.
We couldn't leave. People were saying, well, leave 75.
Yeah.
The highway was blocked. We couldn't get out even if we fucking wanted to.
So
couldn't go anywhere. It was flooded for days.
So don't say that. Anybody watching or listening to this, don't say
what
that.
you want.
Don't say that to people because it's gonna give them a false sense of security that's just gonna piss them off.
Yeah.
So what I would say, like in the story, it's gonna be like I would tell somebody, hey, here's where I'm at. If there's absolutely something that you think that I can get for you, I will do everything I can to do that. But just as a blanket statement, message or text, whatever you need, I got you. Whatever you need, that's just bullshit.
And you know what else is tough like that is because no, it's
He's
true.
right. He's absolutely right.
I see it a little differently, but okay.
No, because I've seen it from other ends as well. People are always like, I got you. And then when it comes down to, hey, I need help, crickets.
I said I got you, but I don't got that part of it.
I don't know. I have always had some really amazing people in my corner then, because when I've ever needed major help, someone's been there for me. And people not even close, like down the road.
Where they say it up front, but then as time passes and that's when you really need it. Nope.
But I've had people in my corner too, but there's a lot of times, like Kevin's saying, that people say, hey, I got your back, whatever you need it. And I think for us, I know, like in that situation, because Jen and I were talking about it, it makes you feel really helpless being so far away.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, fuck, and I think I said it once to Kevin, but it's like, keep saying over. I wish we were closer. I wish we had the ability to get in a car, drive an hour, or do whatever and help out. But when you're so far away, it's like, listen,
I'm thinking of you guys.
Well, not only that, but we're praying thing, or if you need to fucking just vent, or whatever. I mean, you do what you can do based off of your capabilities and your distance. But
and we knew, and you guys, if we needed to get out, we had a place to stay.
Right.
There were so many there were so many people that didn't have. They said, where are we going to go? We don't have any friends.
Here's the other thing.
We knew that.
We also, I wanted to say to people, where am I going? I have 2 dogs. We have 2 kids. Like, how are we all fitting in a vehicle? Like, how are we doing this? Like, the amount to even then just get on a highway and then all of a sudden run out of gas and not be able to find gas was very daunting on my mind. I kept saying to Kevin,
at that point,
I am not getting in a car.
Yeah.
I was like, I am not getting in a car to get stuck on the highway and run out of gas with 2 kids and fucking 2 dogs and us and not be able. I couldn't even wrap my head around it.
Kevin doesn't like to camp outside.
No.
Yeah.
So.
And I was just thinking to myself, no way. Oh God.
Yeah.
And Wyatt has to have his medications, and I'm just like, there is no way we can do this.
No, sometimes the only decision is the best decision is to stay put. And I agree with you, Kevin, because I've been down that path where it's like, if you need anything, and I know I've had this conversation with folks. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes even the most minimal, and I'm talking about some situations I've been in, it's like, I don't need money. I don't need help. I don't need this. All I need is maybe a phone call to check in sometime.
Yeah,
if you can't even do that, then don't tell me I wish I could do more, because I'm asking the bare minimum and you can't do that.
Right. I'll tell you, the majority of the people that reached out, that's what they were doing. Like Tony Costa was just like, man, I'm really thinking about you guys. How are you doing today? Like that actually made me, I like looked forward to like hearing from him, because it made me think like, okay, like there are people out there that care, like we're not all by ourselves.
He was the one. Same with you guys. Wanted,
just
like how are you guys doing?
Yeah, that meant more to us than anything.
And I do appreciate, the sentiment of the other 200 people that reach out. What's going on in your area? I want to be like, well, turn the fucking news on.
But the news was not reporting. Yeah,
I don't. But the thing was, I don't have power. I don't have the news. I honestly don't have the time to have a conversation. I know you want to know what's going on. And also,
we can't speak for all the damages. Yeah. We can only speak about our area, because obviously we're limited where we could go. I checked in all what happened.
I checked in on people down there to see, how they were. And then here's the way I think of it, especially with what everything's going through. I know you guys are going through a lot. I know your fucking reception's spotty. I know that you're freaking trying to conserve electricity. So I'm like, hey, you'll let me know when you have time.
I was trying to
I'm not going to be blowing up your phone
to
fucking figure out what's going on, because like you said, I got a fucking computer, I got a TV, I got messages, I got Facebook. I have an idea what's going on down there. And I don't think you need a daily, hey, what's going on today?
Yeah.
What's going on today? What's going on today? And I text my buddy Chris. I go, hey, how are you doing? He said, the freaking house is flooded. the cars floating around, and my boat's in the road.
The boat
but he said
down the road from us was in the road.
He said, but the family's safe. Thanks for checking in. Perfect. You know what? Let me know how things are going. And it's just those little things like that. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything for you, but I just want to make sure you and the family are safe.
Yeah, I didn't realize either how bad Northport was until people were reporting how DeSantis came on an airboat and was like, holy shit, Northport is probably the worst amount of standing water that was left. Like, thank God most of the water that flooded Naples and Fort Myers receded, but we had levees breaking, and we still have the most massive amount of water left that they don't know what to do. Like, roads are gone here. And not that Fort Myers and Naples and all them don't deserve, like, you know, all of this, like, media, but Northport almost got forgotten a little bit. Like, we're like the second or third largest landmass,
and that's what our problem was. You know, like I said, as in landmass, I think we're number 2 or 3 largest
and we're
city
not
in the state.
Sarasota City, we're Sarasota County.
Yeah, so I mean, we only have 65,000 residents, but we've got we've got 100 square miles of forest, you know, and swamp. That water, when it doesn't go anywhere. There's no drainage.
The sprinkler comes on and it floods.
A national forest doesn't have a drainage plan. You know, it's just when the water just goes everywhere.
But I didn't realize the mass amount either until I really was reading some articles and watching stuff, and I was like, wow, we really did get kind of overlooked a little bit. And DeSantis even came out and said, wow, Northport needs some help. Needs a lot of help. And that was 4 days later. Yeah. Not that it's on him. I'm just saying, nobody could get to us. It was flooded.
It's a tough one. I mean, I remember what was the bad snowstorm? Was it 90? I was working at Enterprise, so it was 96.
93.
No.
I think it was the early 90s.
I was working we had one in 95, and that's what I always tell the funny story. I'm I was on a first date, and we got snowed in.
That's awkward.
Oh, very. And it was me, one of my roommates, the other 2 guys had gone to their homes, you know, in prior, and this girl we were on a date, and we lived off of one of the major routes, but off a ways, right? In Reading, it was called Birdland because all the roads were named after birds. And it was snow, freaking snow drifts that were really high, but the snow was probably about 2.5 feet. It was pretty high. And we didn't have electricity, and it was cold, and fucking there was nowhere to go.
Naked and huddled together.
There was no. It was after day 2,
because he is a bear. You know, probably warm as fuck.
I was skinnier back then.
I'm sure you still had a lot of fur.
The fur doesn't put off the heat; it keeps me warm. It rubs its hell before it gets the hose. And I realized I'm they ain't gonna be plowing our fucking roads for a while. It's 2 days in. Our food is, you know, I was 20 some years old. It was you know, a little bit of food with 8 cases of beer. Right?
Yeah, you didn't have much food to begin with.
Not enough.
So I'm sitting there going, well, fuck. So I had a Jeep at the time, and I literally went out because I saw that they plowed the one road. So I went out with a shovel and shoveled a path from the road all the way up our road, all the way up our driveway, all the way up to one of my wheels, and put it in 4-wheel drive, and was able to just push the snow and get out that way.
You're like, come on, honey, we're not gonna drop you off.
Date's over. This date's over, and I'm fucking hungry. Let's get the hell out of here. But it had taken me all day just to shovel that pathway up, because if I wouldn't have, I didn't have a snowblower, like I said. We were freaking 20-some years old. I had a shovel. But that was the only way I was going to get out of that. And they didn't plow our roads, I think, for about 5 or 6 days.
Well, when snow drifts are as tall as a snow plow is, it's alarming.
Well, it was what was funny is when I finally got out, I get in cell phones. We had cell phones back then. I got on the payphone and called my manager, and they're like, "Well, yeah, I'll come get you." And we got to our place, and our office looked like one of those sheds that they just kind of drop. Right, that was our office. Right, it really wasn't big.
Yeah.
And the snow drifts were so high, it freaking went right up to the roof, and you couldn't distinguish between the freaking where the snow started and the roof ended. And it was I'd never had seen a snow that bad before until
I'm trying to think because I remember when I was like 16 years old, we had it was like one of the worst snowstorms in that area, and we were snowed in, and we had no school, and that's why I'm trying to remember. I think I was 16 when it happened, 15 or 16.
There was one in the early 90s that you said.
Yes, it was in the early 90s,
and then the mid 90s there was a bad one, and then when the one in Pittsburgh, that was the craziest. I
want to say 92.
I dug my car out. I barely made it over. And that's why I always loved the Ultimate. That thing was crazy. Barely made it to my buddy's house. I helped dig him out, and he had an SUV, and we went to his in-laws' house to dig them out. And I'll never forget driving over a bridge and looking at the highway in Pittsburgh, and it looked like something from an apocalyptic movie because the highway was covered in snow, and there was abandoned cars all over the place.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm not talking like one or two.
Yeah, like I'm saying lot.
Fucking a shit. And we looked over, and he just looked at. He goes, "I've never seen anything quite like this." And I'm like,
that black ice too really gets people too.
Well, I had to pick up Emma and Wyatt, and I drove. I used to meet my ex midway in Virginia. And so they didn't get any snow down south, so they had clear sailing. Mm-hmm. I drove down, and I didn't realize everybody got hit that hard that gas stations were closed.
Oh yeah.
And I think we pulled in to use the bathroom in this one place, and they had no electricity. So I was like using at that time a little Nokia. I had my Nokia phone. You know, we didn't have lights set. I was just using the glow of the blue because the kids had to use the bathroom and they were young. You know, but it's like, what the hell? I mean, when you do shit, when that shit happens.
I came home for Christmas with the kids, and I think, Wyatt had to have been like a year old. So I drove from North Carolina, spent Christmas with my parents, and then I was driving back. It was just me and the three kids, and we hit like a snowstorm in North Carolina, and I was like, thought I was gonna die. I was like, I have these kids. I'm already nervous. I'm like driving these freaking mountain hills in snow, and I'm like, I'm gonna drive off the mountain. I'm gonna die, and I don't know how we made it. But
the only time we got snow. The only time we driving the way you drive now. God, I can't even imagine back then. Fuck.
In my Exploder, I had an Explorer that was the year where all the transmission exploded. It was a beater, and it had like a sunroof that when it rained inside because it wasn't sealed.
Leak.
Yeah, it was so bad. But man, that was the car I could afford. So that's when I drove. It got me where I needed to go.
The only time I get snowed again is when we got snowed in Chicago. We flew in for a company meeting and a holiday party. And we went to the holiday party, and then we just got dumped on with snow. And we
tried actually making it to the airport.
We tried making it to the airport and sat in the freaking taxi for like 20 minutes and went 2 miles. And I was like, just take us back. And it's like, I'm going to be snowed in. I'm going to be in a nice, comfy hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a bar. They got food. And then we would just go out and walk in the snow, walk through the city, and it was dead. The city of Chicago was dead, but it was so freaking awesome just walking through the city. And I was cool. If I'm going to be snowed in somewhere, this is being snowed in luxury.
I got in Boston years ago, a big snowstorm when I was visiting my friends, and same thing. Like the day after, we actually went into downtown Boston, and it was like a ghost town. It's like this is not what you see on TV when it's downtown Boston. Same thing, just snow drifts everywhere, and
I've been in Boston in the snow, and it's always hopping.
I've never seen freaking people remove snow with such efficiency than when we were in Boston.
It's
like they know what to fucking do.
Yeah, if anybody wants
to your car in a heartbeat.
They do
on the street in the city.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's awful.
I don't miss the snow up there at all.
Yeah, when I was up there for like 5 days, and like one of the days, like it was at night, Rick had told Alicia, "Hey, you gotta go move the car. Like they're doing our side of the road tomorrow or something." So
that's how it's in New York.
Yeah, so go out there at night. You can only park
at a certain time.
Yep. Yeah. It's like that in Pennsylvania and Delaware too. It's like if you're in an emergency snow route, I had my Jeep towed.
Yeah.
We're in an emergency snow route, and it snowed like maybe once a year in Delaware, and then everything shut down.
I don't know. There's something like magical though about like when it does snow in like a city and stuff, and especially with the lights. And I know in New York, like I loved it. Like I loved it's cold as shit. I'm not gonna say it's not, but it's magical. It's beautiful. I love it.
It's magical when like for us, it was like, yes, this is magical because the company's paying for the hotel.
Yeah.
They're paying for my food.
We're just
walking around. It's like, hey, Starbucks is open. I go to my company credit card.
I'm not going to be back tomorrow.
I don't know. I've lived in snow longer than I have actually in like cold or warm weather. So I've actually lived where it's been colder. And I've been trying to convince Kevin since we've ever started dating to move to the cold, and he won't. No. I love
40 years I spent in the Northeast, and I moved down here 40 some years. I think it's 42 years. And I moved down here and I said, oh, don't you miss? Nope, I do not.
Yeah. I miss having fires. I miss like.
I can still have fires here.
We can't here.
This is the best of both worlds.
We sweat to death.
This is the best
our leaves are changing. And
have you guys seen any leaf peepers yet? It's leaf peeping season.
No.
Started.
I like it here because it still gets winter. It still gets cold. It gets, we still have the seasons. They're just not as extreme. It doesn't snow. When I sold my snowblower, it was the happiest day of my life.
Graham says that it's just he hates it in where he is in Fayetteville. He's like, it's just icy rain.
Now you guys get a little bit. You guys get a little bit of snow, rain. Don't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't really stick ever. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think in the 10 years 11 years I've been down here, we've probably gotten 2 snowstorms.
We've had a couple good ones
that were good.
Sledding over at my dad's
2
house.
that were good though, like like over 6 inches. I think the one year we got 8 inches.
Places that make like snow or anything?
Oh yeah, Maggie Valley's not far from us.
Oh yeah, well I knew that, but I meant like by you, like in South Carolina. You guys don't have any place that does.
Yeah, I moved away. I'm not going to pay money to make I moved away from.
Yeah, no, you need to rent one and then pile it up just so young Joe can shovel snow.
That's great. I should do that. That would be freaking brilliant.
Yeah, right up the front door.
You can rent a snow machine here just because when we were planning our wedding, that was the one thing I was looking at with the winter wedding was I needed snow.
Let's do that. That's awesome.
Okay. Good job, Ken.
I'd love to wake up and have.
I would just love to rent one and just freaking put snow all over the place and have Joe go, that's cool. Go, yeah, dude, now go shovel.
Yeah, now go shovel it. Like you're the only house. It's just by the front door in the driveway. He's at least got to shovel his car. Just bury his car.
Here's $5. Here's $5. You want money?
Yeah. When I lived like 15-20 minutes away from Maggie, because I lived in Waynesville, Graham used to go skiing all the time in Cataloochee. He'd go through Maggie and go up Cataloochee, and they have a ski resort, but half the time they had to make snow. But then now they have like a whole toboggan, like sledding thing right before you go up to the mountain. And but yeah, Graham used to snowboard and ski all the time. And I would just sit there by the fire in the lounge. In the lodge and just be like,
we've got a couple good snowstorms here.
Yeah,
I mean, most of the snowstorms we get, it lasts a couple days and that's it. That's one thing I do like about it. It doesn't linger because the one thing I used to hate in fucking Pittsburgh is it would fucking snow and then you'd shovel and then after a day or two, the sun would come out and melt everything and then it would freeze overnight and then it would snow again and it's like son of a bitch. So I'm outside. Fucking shoveling snow that's on top of ice in freaking temperature that's like -10 with this wind chill factor. I can feel myself sweating under the layers and it's turning into icicles as it's dripping off my jacket. That's how freaking it would freeze.
Yeah.
And I'm good.
My dad, we had stone driveway and my dad would take like a torch and just fucking like melt everything and then throw ice. He'd be like, or like a torch.
And here it's like you could always tell the northerners around here, especially in our place in Taylor's. It was like, because it would start snowing. You're like, okay, freaking shovel the first time around, and then I always go in waves. So I'll wait for like a couple hours and then shovel, and then I'll lay some salt, and then I'll shovel and I'll lay some salt, and I do that kind of like in waves, and then the next day. And I'll clean off the cars every time. So the next day when you come out, everybody from the south, all their shit's covered, and all the driveways that are clear and the cars that are clean are all northerners.
That's funny.
Because you know how to prepare for it. Because if you just let it accumulate, I don't want to go out and shovel a freaking foot of snow or 2 feet of snow.
Yeah. I definitely think, just any kind of, Mother Nature, when she's pissed. And I feel like sometimes we're just all due for a good ass kicking. And, sadly, a lot of people got their asses kicked. Their homes did,
Yeah.
I mean, the death toll is not accurate. I know it's not because it was really low. And I was like, I'm not buying that. And, yeah, they definitely didn't. I don't think they wanted people to panic on how many people died. They'll release the official death toll, but I know it's got to be up there.
It'll be a retrospective study and go, we really underestimated. No, you just really you underreported.
I wasn't trying to I had a conversation with somebody, and I am not negating that Naples and Fort Myers got wrecked, but in all fairness, in Sanibel Island and stuff, they got a lot of water, but they also built all this shit on beaches, right? The water is there, that beachfront. People know, when hurricanes happen, there's shit gonna happen. I obviously don't think
anyone risk for the view, and that's what you do. It's
and I get that, but Sanibel had somewhat the couple of the bridges to the little islands, but their main bridge was still intact. Luckily, Naples obviously was underwater for a while. And, a lot of those people, are going to have water damage and, a lot of problems. But that's all over the place. It's not just that area.
So Texas fixed that with their law. And that happened on that big hurricane that came through was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever the high tide or the high water mark is, that belongs to the state of Texas. So when the hurricane came through, and all these people that built too close to the water when it came through and their houses got destroyed, that's the new high water mark. Texas would not allow it. They basically eminent domain. They took their property. This is now the new high water mark. This is all Texas state property. You're not going to rebuild here and take up resources.
And I do feel I obviously, don't wish that upon anyone who lost anything, but a lot of people that live in those areas have a decent amount of money, and I'm sure they had some really, good insurance, and I hope nothing bad happened to them. But a lot of people weren't even there. A lot of people are snowbirds. They weren't even here for the damage, luckily. But yeah, I wonder if they're going to take and not let them build like that. But some of these homes were built in the 70s, 50s, 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these homes are so old and they've never been updated. They're destroyed. They're gone. Those days are gone. They're never going to see that house again.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody was in it, I know the mobile home park down the road from us, the Holiday Park. I just don't even, the cleanup alone. Even my parents said that park is probably one of the worst parks that they've seen. Your dad's park, your mom and dad's park is shit. It's like a sardine can, all the roof, but they're gone now and they're shredded in these weird little pieces, and they're all stuck across the street in the bushes, going a mile down the road. It made projectile path. It is so much debris. It's disgusting. It's so trashy. Everything is trashed. I don't even know how. Now, aren't people eventually going to get fined because that's someone's property, even though it's not built on? It's still
get fined. I mean, that's just fucking cleanup.
But for who's coming to clean that up? It's not
FEMA.
built on. Yeah, maybe we have it. I mean, FEMA's been part.
They're supposed to. I mean, that's the thing is when you have a natural disaster like that, the state and they they're access to federal government help. I mean, that's really who comes in and has to clean up all that shit because no one else has the mass amounts of resources to do that.
It's been crazy watching all this stuff, the lines to get to the FEMA and stuff. It is astronomical, astronomical. It's sad how many people are still going to be displaced. Well, now they just moved one of the shelters that was at the Venice High School to the hospital that closed. They opened that up for people who lost everything.
Yeah.
our kids aren't going back to school until the 17th. Some kids aren't going back to school until the end of October. Possibly. I
can't imagine.
Possibly because of the roads, buses. I mean, teachers have been impacted. Bus drivers have been impacted. I mean, the whole community. So it's like we went from COVID to this. It's like people are fucking like over it, you know? And I can see why that might be the thing too with the temperaments
of point.
People. Yeah,
I mean,
they're just over it.
I mean, yeah.
I'm worried about sending the kids on the bus for Wyatt's sake because he takes an ESC bus. So is now he going to be on a regular bus? And is that going to be, who's regulating that? Who's watching? Are these kids going to be fucking assholes to my kid? Like, I'm worried about him going on the bus. So I have to put extra pressure on Gabby to like be his like shield, you know, and be like,
well, I think that stuff will unfold and you'll, you know, and see how that works out. And then it's like, you know, just because
we can't get to the school,
right?
Like because of the one road, so it's like jacked. So they're really trying to figure out if they can even open because one of the roads is completely destroyed. So no access at all.
No, that's definitely something to keep on the on the horizon. But it seems like there's a lot of shit that's got to happen before that even occurs.
I know.
Oh.
I know. So I'm sure Wyatt's not complaining. He's living his best life. Are you fucking kidding me? This kid's like, hell yeah, I got TV, goldfish, no school. Like, done. You know, if he never goes to school again, he won't care. You know, but I do. I stress over like weird shit. I don't know. It's like stuff that I can't control, you know, and it's like I know I can't control that, but I do worry the whole point of him going. And I feel like he should be continuously in a safe environment. I know they can't help it, but I worry about him going on an average bus, like a bus with average developing kids, you know?
The only advice I ever give the only advice I ever give in situations like that is you probably have enough shit to stress about that is currently going on right now that you shouldn't freaking be stressed about shit that may or may not happen.
I know.
Because I tell that to Jen all the time. I'm like, listen, freaking, you know.
But I'm I'm his voice, don't you realize? Like Gabby will have to be. No, I know, but like it's hard for me as a special needs mom, like to explain sometimes how it feels to have a child who can't like understand really like his total environment and be able to verbally say, hey, this is what's happening to me. And I always have like these thoughts like the worst is happening. Someone's doing something to him and I'll never know because he can't tell me, you know? And that's the shit that I sit there and go, is it worth me even letting him go in this environment when it's not being controlled properly? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I freak out about this shit. He's my number one well-being, not all these other fucking people's kids, you know? That's their responsibility as parents, you know? Agreed. So I just get freaky and it's over dramatic and I know it. I
don't think it's over dramatic. It's natural. You know, it's natural to freaking worry about this. And then the next thing it rolls over and it starts snowballing. And it's easier said than done to stop the snowballing because we're human. And we worry about things and we worry about people we care about. And sometimes, you know, like I always tell Jen, I'm like, sometimes I got to take a step back, take a deep breath and go, okay, am I worrying about something that's going to happen or could happen? Or am I worrying about something that's fucking happening right now?
No, I always worry about what I think is going to happen.
And then I readjust.
Yeah, I get that. I'm a worrier though. I absolutely am. Kevin is not a worrier, which makes me worry even more. Like I feel like now I have to worry double for him because he's like a robot sometimes. And I'm like, why are you not worried? He's like, whatever. And I'm like,
it's like in that scene from The Replacements. You ever see that movie?
Oh yeah.
And Keanu Reeves is talking to Gene Hackman, and they're like, "You don't seem nervous." He's like, "Just remember, it's always like a duck, calm on the on the surface, but underneath, your fucking feet are going freaking all over the place."
Is that what you're doing? Are you
calm on the surface?
That's what it's like, man.
Because
you, just like Kevin said, and here's the one thing that's very, very true, is when like the crowd of people, and when you have one person who loses their fucking shit, everyone follows. You always have to. You always have to be in control. And I loved movie quotes, but it was from U571, which I fucking love. Matthew McConaughey and Harvey Keitel. He said, when like Bill Paxton, everybody died, and Matthew McConaughey's in charge. They go, "What are we gonna do?" And he says, "I don't know." And he's pulled him aside. He goes, "Hey, can I talk to you?" So he goes, "You're the skipper now." The skipper always knows, even when he doesn't. Saying "I don't know" will sink this submarine more than a freaking torpedo will. So even when you don't know, you always have to freaking act and pretend like you do.
It. I get
Not
it.
even fake it.
No,
because if I freaked out, you would freak out 100 times more.
But as a store manager, I always had to be like, everything's great, everything's fine. Like, hey, what can I do? Like, even if like we were completely like we used to lose power all the time when it would rain. Our building was shit. And people would be like, all the cashiers would be freaking out and the customers would be pissed. And I'd have to go up and be like, oh, let me help you. Like everything's fine. And inside I'm like, you all need to fucking shut the fuck up and die. Like, stop being little bitches. Like, it's just wait your turn. It's one per, but I would be like, oh, everything's great. Like, bye, blah, blah, blah. You have to. You don't want people to panic because people
sometimes
will.
Like herding cats, man. It's just a fucking. it's you just manage the chaos as best as you can, and fucking always be as cool as the other side of the pillow.
That's it. I think that's a good way to end the show. We're doing an abridged show because we got another show tomorrow.
Yeah, so
exciting. So I'm Broadleaf Bully Kevin.
I'm Broadleaf Bully Jess.
I'm Broadleaf Bully Kerr.
I'm Broadleaf Bully Jen.
And remember, bullies make good friends.
From Kev, Jess, Kerr, and Jen, we are the Broadleaf Bullies. Thank you for joining us, and remember, bullies make good friends.